we're excited about this. I interviewed JJ on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and then we spent like 2 hours afterwards just talking shop, and I was just blown away by, obviously he has tons of experience, great knowledge. He's an awesome coach. So if you're interested in coaching, make sure to reach out to him. He's a success coach and does incredible things with that. So without further ado, JJ, take it away. Talk to me about what we want to do and give some helpful tips to all these realtors here.
Yeah, so I feel like, when I'm talking to agents, some of us that have been in the business forever, like I see Reba on here. Bobby's actually showing properties for once in his life, so he's actually a little busy. Talking to agents and coaching and mentoring them. And by the way, check out the Productive Agent podcast if you really want to know the difference between mentoring and coaching, because it's like completely different. But mentoring agents for almost 2 decades now. It's so weird that a lot of people, they say some stuff like, I want to have access to a broker. I want to be able to knock on a broker's door or whatever. And I think there's a lot of stuff that people are looking for as far as support, like make sure the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. And I know that's super important, not taking anything away from that. But what really makes real estate agents money is scripts and dialogues. Because I feel like if like we talked about, Tony, like the tongue is our only weapon in this game, and we have to be really sharp with it. We have to practice a ton. Bobby and I still, to this day, I know people don't believe us, but we still do scripts and dialogues almost on a weekly basis whenever he's not on vacation. What'll happen is, we've been doing it for so long that he'll hear an objection from a buyer or a seller that we've never really heard before put that way. And then we both go, okay, how would I have handled that? And by the way, how I handle it is different. How Tony would handle it is different than how Bobby would handle it. So it's not like, you have to take all these and mimic them exactly. But when you get really good at objection handling, then that's where you can control your money. Because yes, support is a lot of different things, but mentorship, the most important thing for us as real estate agents is getting paid. And a lot of times we lose deals between the point of having a prospect become an actual lead, and I want to talk about that, and then a lead becoming your client, and then your client, actually going under contract. Oh, and then there's the scripts and dialogues for staying under contract. Bobby and I had 2 buyers essentially text us last week like, hey, I want to back out. And so we said, okay, let's talk about this, right? And so there's that. I think a lot of agents just give up and say like, okay, let me send you the paperwork. But if you really look at the needs analysis of what your clients have, so, everyone has cold feet, everyone has buyer's remorse, everyone has these issues, mainly in residential, by the way, which is why I jumped over to commercial for almost the last decade. It's very emotional. People lead with their heart. They run away from pain more than they run towards pleasure. You should really realize that, especially as being in real estate agents. And we're somewhere in between. And I don't know, it's been a decade or so, but Newsweek came out with an actual really good article that said the 3 most stressful things that an American will go through in their lifetime. Now, this is not a Bosnian or someone in, the Ukraine, but us, first world problems, people. Number 1 is losing a close, immediate family member. Number 2 is buying or selling real estate. And number 3 is losing your job. So as you can imagine, we're somewhere between a, mortician and monster.com. I mean, we're with people in their most vulnerable and emotional times in their lives, and it's very emotional and it's very taxing on them. So getting to get over objections in a good way is what separates, I feel like, the average or below average or brand new agents to the extremely good ones. Because Bobby and I, it's pretty tough. Besides saying, like, I remember one time a buyer told Bobby that he had to go meet with his pastor and pray about it, and we didn't have an objection handler for that. But besides that, we were pretty solid on getting over objections. So what I want to do is talk about what a lead is versus a prospect, what a prospect is versus a client. And then I want to go into like in the chat, if you can maintain or manage a chat, Tony.
Yep.
And if anyone has a current client right now or has had a client in the last 60, 90 days that they can remember where they feel like they lost a lead or they couldn't get to the finish line with the client, or if they couldn't get an open house prospect to become their client, or get a client to sign on a contract or whatever, couldn't bid enough to win a whatever. I want to kind of go over objection handling so that we can kind of help these agents that are on here. And by the way, this is so important to us that Bobby and I still do this after 19 years of being in the real estate industry. Boundless, our mastermind collective organization, we actually are starting to meet once a month just to talk about this period, just to do what we call pipeline meetings, where we write down who are the prospective prospects that we've either met or saw or collected at an open house. What are we telling them to move them into clients? How are we helping our clients get into contract, and how are we saving our contracts to go to close? Because if you can get from that to A to Z, well, then you get paid. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. I think we give up on people or buyers, we call them liars, right? Or sellers that drag their feet. And it's just because we're not telling them the right stuff. So I want to go into what a prospect is. Well, first of all, anyone that wants to give me a definition of what is an actual lead to you. I'm going to call you out if you don't answer. So like
somebody who has interest in talking about real estate.
I love it. Thank you, Maristela. How you doing, girl?
Good.
We'll start calling people. Val, what's your definition of a lead?
Honestly, a lead is anybody that's like in my phone that I've had contact with, because I feel like at some point they're going to want to sell, buy, invest. So anybody that I have contact with is a potential lead in my eyes.
Gotcha. Reba, Alan, anyone else?
Yeah, just anybody that I've had contact with that's expressed some sort of interest in real estate.
Okay. This is important to define in your company. Why is it important to define in your company? Because if you don't define what it is, then you're going to have different ways of, I hate to say the word, different ways on like going toward like how you interact with them. So Bobby and I have really short attention spans and we're very impatient. So when we say we have a lead, it's someone that's willing and able to buy or sell real estate in the next 90 days. And I know that, and I had to define that over years because, and by the way, I know other agents that I've coached and mentored, they're like, no, like maybe like Val might be like, you know what, I'm a very patient person. And if this person says like, I'm going to buy between now and when I, in the next 5 years, and I'm going to drip on them. To me, that's database. That's just someone in my database, right? Like to me, that's someone that I'm going to, I'm not I hate to say it, but use a lot of time and energy on at the moment, but I'll maybe put them into a drip campaign where, if you come to our database class, I can give you the formula on how to keep in contact with them so that one day they will become a prospect, which is someone that's maybe willing or able, but not willing and able. And then there's that funnel, right? And then there's someone that's willing and able to buy or sell real estate in the next 90 days. If you have expressed and shown me proof that you're willing and able to buy real estate in the next 90 days, we have you as the priority of all of, like you have our undivided attention. Bobby and I are like, okay, that's it. You are like, I love my mom, but I'll call her on Sunday. I'm going to call this person. I'm going to show value to this person. And I'm going to spend all of my strength and energy and time and effort getting really good at talking to that lead. Because I know Bobby and I have an attention span of about 3 months. And then after that, we got to put them back into the database. I know other agents have debated me. And by the way, there's no wrong answer. If someone has a really like, they like the slow game and they're able to slowly drip on someone and wait for them for 6 months to a year. That's just not us. And I've known that because, we have enough, I have enough time to realize that, no, Bobby and I, we get really like, no, after 90 days, we're like, we don't have the attention span for that. Both, neither of us do. So that's our definition. I think during this, Zoom or whatever we're doing, this training, you should really start to identify your definition, because that is where you're going to focus all of your attention and time on, not only with your scripts and dialogues, but also where your energy goes in the mornings when you're prospecting first thing. So prospect is, again, someone that's willing or able, but not willing and able. And then the lead is someone that's willing and able in the next 90 days for me. And then everyone else is in my database. So we're going to concentrate on the prospect to the lead. So I can tell you, and if anyone wants a role play, like we can go from internet leads to open house leads to I met someone at a networking event to anything, but there is a script, and I want you guys to write this down. There's an anatomy of a phone call or anatomy of a conversation. Number one is to let them, especially of a phone call. Number one is you got to let them know who you are in the first 3 to 5 seconds. So you got to say, hey, this is JJ, real estate agent. I don't say EXP. I don't say the trade group. No one cares about that. I'm like, this is JJ, real estate agent. Like, because if you don't say that, if you say, hey, this is Valerie or this is Alan with blah, 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 everything that you say after that is not going to be internalized by the prospect or the lead, because they're going to be like, Alan, what Alan? Is that the Alan from like my fraternity Alan? Or is it the Alan that is my wife's ex-boyfriend Alan? Like, they're going to keep on going through their Rolodex in their mind, trying to figure out which Alan it is. But if you go say, hey, this is Alan, real estate agent, or this is, Tony, real estate agent, or this is Val or Maricela or Melanie or Reba, real estate agent, just like, it doesn't get more plain than that, right? So number one is make sure that they know who you are in the first couple of seconds, so that they go, okay, cool, talking to a real estate agent. I can't say how crucial that is, because if you don't, you're going to lose their attention immediately after that. Number two, and Bobby debates me on this one, is I asked him if they got 2 to 3 minutes. And I know how long my scripts are because I've been doing them for so long. So if I say, hey, Tony, you got like 3 minutes for me? And like, unless they're a surgeon that just got like washed, right? They're like, yeah, I got 3 minutes, right? If your script is really 3 minutes, but because if it's not, and you like start to go on this rant and you're 19 minutes in, that prospect / lead may hate you and never work with you again because you're too chatty. So Bobby says Bobby, by the way, my business partner, doesn't even ask that, because Bobby's like, I don't want to hear no. Bobby's like, the last thing I want to hear is no. My style is like, I'd rather prepare them for 3 minutes. It's also, I get my first yes usually. And you want to get these yeses in a row, right? So yeah, sure, cool. And then number 3 in the anatomy of a phone call is giving and or getting information. And that correlates with the next step, which is asking intriguing questions. And number 5 is to close. Now the close, I feel like I don't, when I get on the phone call with a prospect or a lead, I don't think they're gonna be like, sure, JD, send me the paperwork so I can sign. I want to move the ball towards the next step. So let me follow up with you. Is it okay if I follow up with you after the market analysis? Is it okay that if I call you next week after I send you these properties? Is it okay if I call you to schedule next week to show? That to me is a phone call that has been productive. And
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So what advice would you give to somebody who doesn't like to seem salesy or pushy? Because there's a lot of people, like myself included, I don't like to sound salesy or pushy when it comes to doing lead generation. It's one thing when the lead has the interest, but when you're calling people or leads to lead generate, I don't like to be salesy or pushy. So for me, sometimes it's hard where it's like I'm a little bit passive.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like if they say no, or, you know, like it's just like a telemarketer to me in my eyes. I feel like I struggle with that. So like, what do you recommend, or what advice would you give to somebody like myself
Mhm.
who struggles with that,
I think you should ask a lot of questions.
to
Because-
overcome the salesy part, you mean?
Well, let's role play, girl.
Oh, why did
I,
I ask?
I know, I know. I put the leaves down and you stepped right in. I got you. Okay, I'm gonna be the agent and you're gonna, give me the scenario. Met you at an open house. You're in my database.
Let's say this is let's just say this was an internet lead.
Oh, perfect. So hey, by the way, I'm glad this is being recorded. I have the Glenn Ross best internet script of all time, because me and Bobby used to have we used to have an actual budget of about 13 grand a month on internet leads. So I can tell you this is the best one. Ready, Maricela? Ring, ring.
Hello?
This is Maricela.
Yes?
Hey, Maricela, this is JJ, real estate agent. I actually got your information. You're on Zillow and you're looking at a property.
Yes, I was. That was like last week.
Yeah, sorry, we've been trying to get a hold of you. I'm glad I got you on the phone. You have about 2 minutes for me.
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. So that house is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, is 340,000. Is that the price range that you're looking to stay around?
Yeah, give or take. That's pretty accurate.
Gotcha. Is that an estimate, or did you talk to already been with a pre-qualified with a bank or credit union?
No, I was just browsing online because, you know, I do have interest in buying, maybe
Gotcha.
sometime this summer.
No, I got you. I love Zillow. I'm addicted just like you. I'm sure I'm on it all the time. So here's a better question. What monthly payment are you looking to stay around, like with taxes and insurance and everything, like every single month? What are you guys comfortable with?
I want to stay around 1,800.
1,800. Okay. It might be a little bit less than 340, but I'm going to keep that in mind. Have you seen any properties in person, or you just been looking online?
I've just been looking online.
Gotcha. Okay. And you said in the summer, right?
Yes,
Okay. Why the summer?
because my lease ends in June.
Perfect. Have you looked at new homes yet?
No.
So this is the perfect time to talk to people in this situation. I'm so happy we got on the phone together, because usually people call me 30 days before their lease is done. And I'm like, oh no, you're already behind. So we actually have time to look at some maybe brand new homes that have inventory, or we can customize that for your exact liking. Is that something you'd be interested in?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll go into what's important on the home. Did that sound pushy?
No.
Okay. And did I ask you if you had a real estate agent?
Nope.
No.
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did. I don't
So here's the
know.
thing. I hear people, when I used to be in an office, which is useless to me, by the way, go EXP. But when I would walk through the bullpen of an office, I would hear agents prospecting. They'd be like, "Do you have a real estate agent?" And I would cringe, because I'm like, ugh, that's the grossest question of all time.
Yeah.
And all you're setting yourself up for is a no. And by the way, they could have just been like, they could have met Tony Ruiz at an open house 6 months ago, and he's been sending them MLS, whatever. Is that really his real estate agent? No. But does he have a real estate agent sending him stuff? Yes. But you asked the wrong question, right? But if you notice, Maricela, I did find out, because I said, have you been looking in person or just online? And you said just online. So I got my answer. Does that make sense?
Right.
Did I ask you? I also hear like, are you approved? No, but I said like, oh, is that an estimate, or did you already talk to a bank or credit union? Did you notice that?
So it was the style of questions you were asking to get the answers.
It's how I asked it. Because if I have a doctor with an 800 credit score and like 700,000 in their bank account, I'm like, are you approved? Because I hear a lot of agents talk like that. They go, don't worry about that, bro. Like, I can buy and sell your family. So I avoid it. Like, I avoid like
the sensitive questions.
Yeah, I'm not pushy. I got the information that I needed. This prospect named Maricela, that was a Zillow lead. She's not approved. She wants $1,800 a month, so she's looking way out of her price range, unless she has a huge down payment. She's interested in new homes, so I can start to sell her on those. I know she's not working or has committed to an agent yet in writing. Did you notice I got all the information that I needed? And I didn't time it. My girlfriend actually has a timer here, but I'm pretty sure that conversation ended in less than 3 minutes. Right?
Yeah.
So I did all the things. So that's the best internet script of all time right there, because And if, you know, Tony, you're gonna have this recorded, right, for everyone?
Okay.
Like,
Yep.
just go over that over and over again. You notice that I pivoted, like, oh yeah, I looked last week. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, we've been trying to get, I'm so happy we got a hold of you. Like, I was energetic, I was positive, I got the information that I needed, and I did it in the time, and I made you say yes, 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 yes. Did you notice that?
Mhm.
And then after that, if I was out of time, I'll say, hey, Maricela, I asked you for 3 minutes. If I can get a couple more questions, I can start to like look at some properties and send them like exactly what you're looking for, maybe some off-market deals, if you got another 3 minutes. And I asked for another 3 minutes.
Okay,
But that doesn't sound pushy, does it?
no, mm-mm.
The reason that agents sound pushy is because they go out their throat, they go, you have an agent? And you're like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
like, dude, we just met, like, buy me dinner, right? So, or like, are you approved? Can you send me a pre-approval? I hear these things from these agents. I'm like, cringe. I cringe out.
Yeah,
It's cringy. And that's what I think you're equating cringe with like super pushy or salesy.
mhm, mhm.
We don't have to be that. We can be
Okay.
professional and smooth, right? But
Mhm.
it takes it takes role playing. Everyone says like, how did you and Bobby meet? I swear to God, we met because of this. Bobby was the only one that would religiously role play with me every single week. And then we ended up being business partners because, I mean, Bobby's like Yoda on the phone, by the way. If you think, like, I don't even think I'm good, like Bobby's ridiculously great. So yeah, so that's the perfect, I'm glad that we went over that. It's a very good internet prospect script.
Mhm.
Right? Does anyone have any questions on that one? Or have they heard something different?
JJ, I got a question. You mentioned when you met Bobby, meaning when you first got in the business, you guys were basically role playing every week, right? So naturally, that plus all the experience that you have, just in you putting your time and efforts into this, would you say that it's super helpful, especially when you preach on the mentoring and the coaching? I mean, our brand or our model calls for your sponsor, your mentor, as upon signing up, right? So I think my question is, I mean, yeah, you sounded great, right?
Yeah.
So is it? Would you advise that you are seeking out coaching, mentoring, role playing once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week? What would you say on that?
So in the beginning, and by the way, at the time we were with the #1 training company in the industry, which was KW. But this is what I said in the beginning. I think in the beginning, there's the expectation and reality of an agent. And so they want either a boutique brokerage so that they feel seen and heard, which I'm like, okay. But what you need to seek out is what we're doing right now and what we do Boundless. Like, I think you missed it last week, homie, because you had some issues, but we all you couldn't get up to San Antonio. But Boundless, we get together in a room and we do this once a month at least. But in the beginning, Bobby and I didn't do it once a week. We did it once a day. We would meet at each other's house because we didn't own an office because we thought it was a waste of money. So I would do Mondays at my house, Tuesdays at Bobby's house. So we would split Wednesdays, Thursdays at my house, Fridays at Bobby's house, and then we'd rotate back. And before we would get on the phone with for sale bounders, or before we get on the phone with expireds, or before we'd go hit these internet leads, we would role play. And by the way, we would be the most terrible human beings to each other, as terrible as humanly possible as a prospect. So that by the time I was actually talking to real human beings, I was like, oh, this is easy. Does that make sense? I feel like it's like you're lifting weights. So I would suggest getting a partner, not because this is not the role of a mentor is to help you through, like, you know, like, hey, like a mentorship is like, hey, and if you watch the podcast that I did with Tony, we really describe it. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but a mentor is like, hey, let me guide you through this thing for the next year. But a script partner is what you need. Everyone on this, like, I don't know how many people we have on here, Tony, but
About 20.
Say again?
It's about 20 people.
So we got 10 script partners. Everyone should get a script partner, because, and if you read the one thing, it's not what's the one thing my mentor can do for me such that by doing everything else is easier and necessary. So what's the one thing I can do? And the one thing I can do as a real estate agent is find a script partner that is at your level of commitment. Because that's why Bobby and I became like brothers, is because in the beginning, there was 6 of us, by the way, Sam, like 6 of us were there. And then, you know, like, as you go to the gym, like it was January 1 and everyone was there. And then, dude, by just like the gym, I'm parking in the front now again, right? Just by March or April, it was like me and Bob. Like Bob was the only one was like, bro, I'm ready for scripts and dialogues. Like it was like a workout partner. So everyone needs a workout partner. And everyone needs to be like, hey, dude, I'm gonna hit for sale by owners. And they also want to be able to do the same things you are. Because Sam, if you're doing for sale by owners, and let's say Maricela is doing database, you're like, no, I need a for sale by owner, you know, script partner. But script partners is how you get good. To find someone that's gonna do it with you at the same level with the same commitment. It's just like going to the gym. If I go to the gym, I need a gym partner that's gonna be there when I go. And if my gym partner goes every 3rd week at 3 p.m., I'm not gonna work for me. I gotta be there at 4:30 in the morning. Does that help, Sam?
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So basically find the team that you signed up with, and the team that you signed up with, you should absolutely seek out that script partner on day 1. That's what I'm gathering, right?
For sure. And it doesn't have to be, you know, what's funny is like Diane Kokoska is one of my favorite human beings on earth. She created MAPS coaching at KW. She got so good at scripts in Denver, Colorado, that she was like, man, I kill everyone in Denver. Like no one's challenging me. So she used to have script partners for people from Remax and Coldwell Banker all over the country. So we're sharpening iron, right? And Sam, you come from you're a badass in the car industry, right? So I'm sure you could kill everyone in Del Rio, right? There's gonna be a point where you say like, you know what? I want to get to the next level with a person. So it might be someone outside of, you know, whatever matches your thing. You know what I mean? Your level of commitment and who you're calling.
Yeah. So you're right, man. And thanks for taking the time. I appreciate it. Like I said, it's absolutely necessary in my opinion. Dealership world and realtor world, as a brand new agent, especially with these new models, being able to Zoom and, you know, kind of being out here on the island on my own. There isn't that person over my shoulder that I can script play with, you know, on a day-to-day, right? It's always a phone call away. So it's just, it's identifying these concerns, speaking about them to somebody like yourself and to the team. And for anybody that's on the call, I'm begging for anyone to reach out my way and start these practices. Cause I don't know if I'm the only one, but I guarantee there's a lot of new agents that are missing out on this knowledge. So thank you. I appreciate the time.
Well, everyone, if that's interested, you should put your info in the chat. And like I said, dude, we had 6 of us in the beginning. One of them was Tony Zamora, which was like now the KW City View broker. But in the beginning, there were 6 of us. And at the end of the day, me and Bobby just matched up. We had the same tenacity and pedigree. And we just like, you know what, dude, we're script partners for life. We still are 20 years later. So everyone should put their information in the chat if you're looking for a script partner. Sam, you can't be the only one, but I love that you're actually looking for that, because that's exactly what the point of this training is we're gonna help you guys. But you know, like if I showed you how to lift weights one time, which is what's happening today, doesn't mean you get buff, right? Like I'm gonna show you how to lift weights, and then you're gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna do this every Monday. We're gonna do for sale bonus, and every Tuesday we're gonna do legs. And I'm just kidding, no one does legs. And then every Wednesday we're gonna do, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? So we're gonna keep on doing it. But awesome, man. Thanks for your feedback. It's great. So anyone else have any questions on like a script or dialogue for internet leads before we move on? No,
I guess I'll ask real quick. My internet leads might be a little bit different. So I do some advertising on Facebook Marketplace, and then I get a lot of people going, is this available? Is this available? And I get a shitload of people commenting. And then of course, I don't want to sift through all of them. So I'm trying to figure out, hey, is somebody for real? So I just respond immediately. Hey, this is available. How can I help you? If they respond back, I'm like, okay, we've started some kind of conversation. And then I lead to, cool, I got those properties, and all of this is through Messenger. All right. And usually I'm starting to get some emails, starting to get some, hey, this is what I'm looking for. And let's say I have like 5 or 6 of those right now currently. Okay. So they've told me like what they're looking for, what their budget is. I've even had maybe a couple conversations with them. But then I send them stuff, and now they kind of just ghosted, or they're hit or miss.
So this is why. You ready, Tony? We're gonna do a little practice together. When I ever deal with anyone online or whatever, I'm kind of old school and I want to talk to them. I would rather see them in person or Zoom with them. And then the third best thing is talking to them. And I'm gonna tell you why, because communication is almost like only 7% of communication, I think, is related through words. It's usually your tone and how you deliver and the energy you give, and even more so like your expressions, right? I've done some with my coaching clients, we've done some kind of stuff where I'm like, what do I mean? And I'll put it on mute and I don't, like, that I'm like confused, right? I don't have to say a word. So this is the best. Well, in person's number one. This is the second best. Can we get on a Zoom real quick?
Yeah.
But if they're like, no, I'm busy. Here's the third thing. When I talk to Facebook or leads like that, like messenger leads, all I say is like, hey, I'm on the road all day today. Is there a time that we can get on a call about this property? And I'm going to prove to you why it's so important, Tony. You ready? We're going to say the same sentence a couple of times. You ready?
Okay.
It wasn't Laura that stole the purse. What's up, Laura? It wasn't Laura that stole the purse. We're going to say this a couple of different times, okay?
Yeah.
I want you to say that sentence, but emphasize the word Laura. Ready? Say it.
It wasn't Laura that stole the purse.
So that implies, if I heard you say that, that implies someone did steal the purse, but it probably wasn't Laura, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't Laura that stole the purse, right? Okay, now I want you to emphasize the word stole.
Okay. It wasn't Laura that stole the purse.
Yeah, it wasn't Laura that stole the purse, right? She could have borrowed it. She could have like misplaced it. She could have moved it, but she didn't steal it. You see that's the second meaning, same sentence. Here's the last one. It wasn't Laura that stole the purse, like emphasize the word purse.
It wasn't Laura that stole the purse.
But that emphasizes that Laura is definitely a thief. But in this particular case, she didn't steal the purse. Do you see what I'm saying? So if you text or message someone one sentence, just in that exercise, it can be interpreted 3 ways. And because of that is why you have a very low conversion level on these leads, is because they're not hearing your voice, they're not seeing your expression, and they're not feeling what's supposed to be communicated. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, I mean, with that being said, there's a way that I can send them a quick video message that's probably less than 30 seconds. I mean, obviously that'd be better than just texting it out, messaging.
Everything's better than being than just the written back and forth. And I hate that. And by the way, I adapted. There were so many years that I'm like, dude, if they're going to text, then I'm good. But dude, millennials and Z's, like they hate talking. So I like to say like, hey, I would love to go over this property. Can we set up a quick, Google Meet or Zoom? I want to give you some details about this property. When you have 5 minutes, let me know. And then you send them a link, right? And then they can hear you, and then you can build rapport. Because here's the reason that we don't really close every single lead or prospect that we get, is because the most essential thing, and I work on this with my coaching clients, is building rapport. Okay, that back and forth that I did with Maricela, the role play. Did you notice that I was like, my energy was high? I was really like energetic and happy. Did you know that? Like if I was like, hey, what's up, girl? Yeah, you looking at that? Yeah. You already talked to a banker credit union, or like if I was like that, she'd be like, dude, I'm not gonna talk to this dude ever again. This dude sucks, right? But if you notice that in that script, in dialogue role play, I've been doing that script for so long that I've been like, just how Sam, my badass over there in Del Rio, wants to get, I gotten so good at the script that I'm not even thinking about the script anymore, because it's like muscle memory, right? Now I'm just thinking about my energy. And by the way, to build rapport, there's again, get a coach like me, because we go into like building rapport. You can match, you can mirror, you can lead, you can slow down with the people that are, high S's and C's. And then we go into the disc of like, I'm a high I, high D. So you got to tell me what and who now. But some of my clients are engineers, and they really need to think about it, and you have to if I'm like this and they're like that, they're like, dude, this dude is too much. Like, he needs to stay off the coca. Like, I'm not gonna ever be with that rabbit. I'm a turtle. So I gotta go into turtle mode, or I gotta go into, and I'll match. And if you notice on that role play, I was matching Maricela. I was going a little too fast, and so I slowed it down a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And so, or whatever. But this is building rapport is the number one thing, and you're getting a low conversion rate on your Facebook leads because they can't understand what you're really trying to express, and you're not building rapport, dude. That's the problem. Okay. Anyone? So, is there anyone in the comments that wants to go over any kind of objection? We got a couple minutes before I gotta bounce.
Yeah.
Anything that they had, like recently with a prospect or a client or a buyer or a listing that's taking too long to list or anything like that. In the comments, they don't have to be vulnerable. I won't make them role play. I can do it with someone else, but any kind of objection.
I'll throw something at you. So
Sure.
I've got some great clients. They're buying and I've listed their house, and they just were trying to get this amendment signed so that they fix something fairly major in their house because of foundation issues. And it's just been a nightmare to get them to move forward and see like that it just needs to get done, because we're not going to get it. We have a great offer on this house. I don't know how.
You're the listing agent, right? Okay, I'm gonna do this with you, girl. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's go.
Hey, Valerie. So we're here. The buyers did an inspection. We got the foundation company engineers came out. This is what it is. We're here. What's the biggest hesitation on just moving forward?
I mean, I just don't want to. We've already done 70 pillars, and now there's a leak. Supposedly, I don't trust, the plumber. I think they're all liars.
Okay, I got you. What would make you trust a plumber in this situation?
I don't know. I guess maybe being there, seeing what they're doing, showing like evidence.
So if you were able to get like concrete evidence directly from maybe a third party plumber, would you have a different opinion on the situation?
Let's fast forward, because we got that, and
Okay.
now they know, and now we're still pissed about it.
Okay, so let's say like, okay, so we got the stuff that we need. What's the hesitation now?
I just don't want to spend another $25,000,
Sure.
and insurance is going to cover it.
Gotcha. What's the alternative?
Stay in this house.
Okay. Would you stay in this house with a plumbing issue?
No.
Okay. So it's eventually going to have to happen, I guess.
I guess you're right. Yeah.
Okay. So if it's going to happen, either you do it for yourself or you do it for someone else, and then you go get the house you want that's better. Like, what would be the hesitation? Oh, and by the way, do you think inflation is going to get worse or better?
Yeesh. Worse.
So do you think this plumbing issue is going to cost you more or less in 10 years?
Definitely more.
So what are we waiting for?
Let's just do it.
Do you see what I did there?
Yeah. And I like the way that you worded some of that, because they're also really close friends. And so there's like that, for me, there's like a little bit of a line. I've worked with a lot of people that I know well, but these are like really close friends.
Of course.
And it just, for some reason, there's more of a hesitation to like piss people off,
Yeah, I mean, because you're in their business, and then you see them at Thanksgiving. I get it, like they're the worst. But do you see how I'm like, hey, like, so you're gonna live with it? Okay. And then the inflation thing, right? Like, so remember, people run away from pain. Write this down. They run away from pain with way more vigor and energy than they run towards pleasure. So I didn't get where I wanted with her on the pleasure. So I go, all right, girl, here's some pain.
I'm laughing because you sound like my husband. Like, whenever I'm being like, if I'm upset about something and he talks in that tone, like the way you were, like bringing the person back to reality.
Yeah.
And you were just like super calm, and you were like basically putting the client in place.
Sure.
By just speaking facts and making them like agree with you.
Yeah, I
And I'm
didn't.
just like, oh my God, you sound like my husband.
Yeah, that's why he's awesome too. But that's we're not here to. We're almost like counselors, y'all. And this is
Yeah,
very personal.
it's a lot of managing emotions.
A lot
Yeah,
of therapy. Yeah.
That's why I do resident. That's why I do commercial. All your commercial leads, guys, come this way. So that's why I do commercial, because there's no emotion in commercial, but residential is emotional. You're also, and by the way, when you talk mess about someone's house, it's like calling their kid fat.
Yeah, they get offended.
Yeah, even if their kid is fat. You can't call people's kids fat. So that's when you're like, yeah, but like, I already did 30 pillars. Like, yeah, you already put them on Weight Watchers. Like, they're still fat. Like, and so we're walking on eggshells, and we're in landmines, and we're trying not to blow up. But you notice that I just kept on asking questions. If you guys read this, when you play this back, when Tony sends it, by the way, Tony, thank you for everything you do, homie. You're making us all better, by the way. But when you play this back, notice that I never said one statement. I kept on asking questions, right? And I made them discover the answer. Like Maricela says, you make it think like I brought them down to reality, but really I was just like walking them through their head with them, but like, well, what happens if we don't? What's the alternative? Would you live with foundation issues? Do you think it's going to be more expensive? Do you think inflation is going to go up or down? You notice I didn't give them a statement. I didn't stay. As real estate agents, we also got to be careful legally to be like, you got to do this. Or, like, you got to be careful. Yeah. I didn't do anything unethical. I didn't do anything illegal, but I got in that scenario, I got Val's client to go from super upset because the world is against them in this particular case, which sucks, to like, let's just do it, get it over with, Band-Aid, pull it off. Anyone else? See, this is what makes us money, y'all. This is what actual training and support and mentoring really is. Mm-hmm. And so, and like Sam, bro, we do this once a month on all of our prospects. Because with my organization, I want to make sure that this is what gets you paid. Because if Val can get over this one objection, it seems like she has 2 sales, right, girl? That's a lot of money, y'all. That's a lot of money. So anyone else have anything that's come up recently or in the past, or they lost something and they just didn't know, they got, they're deer in the headlights, they didn't know where to go?
JJ, I had can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you, bro.
Recently had one of our agents ask me, because they're new and they had somebody ask them, how's the market? She's never sold a home. She didn't know how to answer. I have some of the things I might say, but curious what your answer is right now.
This is my answer. You ready? Let's do it. Go ahead.
Hey, JJ, just wondering, what the market's like right now, since you're a realtor,
Why would you ask?
We're thinking about listing our home, but we heard that it's a bad time to list our house.
Gotcha. Where'd you hear that?
Just like social media, the news, just everywhere.
What's your definition of a bad market?
I don't know. You tell me. I mean, you're the real estate professional. That's why I'm asking you,
Well, I mean, it's funny. If you ask some people, the market's bad when it's going too fast and too expensive and you're paying over list price for every single property. And then you can ask some people and they say the market's bad when you buy a house and then, it in 2008, everyone thought it was bad, even though they got the best deals in the last 25 years. So it's kind of depends on what your situation is, because a market, it could be bad for one person in one situation, and a market could be totally bad for another person in the same exact situation. Does that make sense? So what I'm asking is, what are you trying to accomplish?
Well, I'm older and I'm not really living in this house. It's just more of a pain right now than anything else. And I think we just need to sell it, but we don't want to lose money because we hear the market's bad.
Have you ever heard the term, what's good for the goose is good for the gander?
No.
Okay, what that means is whatever happens to you on this side will happen to you on this side. So if you would have made 20 grand more 2 years ago when the market was hot, you probably would have spent 40 grand more on the next house, right? Because you're always going to double up, right? So that doesn't really make sense for you, right? So, but if you're going to make 20 grand less on this house because the market may have fluctuated with interest rates or whatnot, guess what's going to happen to you when you purchase? You make it up. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. The only one that gets burned is a sitting duck.
So JJ, I love this because the agent that asked us, she was brand new. And so the question that she's worried about coming up is, you're new, why should I trust you? But when you have a good answer to that for new agents, it's really valuable because all of a sudden you look like an expert.
Everyone that's brand new on here, Daniel or whatever, dude, like just ask, get good at asking questions. Why do you ask? Well, what's a bad market? What's your opinion on a bad market? Okay. All right. Do you think a bad market is when the interest rates are super low, but you're paying 40 grand over list price? Is that a bad market to you? Okay. Is it, do you see, just I ask questions. I pivoted through the whole thing. The only real statement that I just gave Alan here on the role play was like, you know, some people thought it was a bad market, even though they got the best deal in 25 years in 2008. Some people thought it was a bad market because they were paying $40,000 over list price in 2021. A bad market is good for someone and bad for someone in the same day. So what are you trying to accomplish? You see what I'm saying? I take it off of me in the market, which I don't control, by the way, and I put it back on them to say, what do you want to accomplish? Because if you want to accomplish something that's accomplished, can be accomplished in this market, then guess what? It's a mother-loving great market, right? And the good for the goose, good for the gander makes me sound like I'm like 58 years old or whatever, but it really is, you know, most people do understand what that means, but if they don't, like, explaining it is even funner because then I get to say, or you can be the sitting duck that does nothing. All right, anyone else?
That was freaking good, man. Love it.
Yeah, anyone else? Don't at me. This is what I do. This is what we do every month, and we should start doing that stuff, you know?
Can we
I have a question. Oh, sorry.
Hey, girl.
go for it?
So if you have a older client that comes to you, wants to list, but you know they've lived in that house forever, and then it comes a reality, now I got to pack everything, right? And they're having a hard time with that, like it's pushing it, like, oh, give me another week, or give me another couple weeks, and then it's just like, I want to pack the freaking house myself. But it's one of those things, and they're older, so they can't do everything themselves, but you know they have to get that stuff out because there's no way you're going to be able to list it as is, because of course they want top dollar too. So
Where are they headed?
they're going to move in with one of their kids, so they're not buying a house, they just want to sell.
I would get the kids involved in that situation, and I would tell the kids like, hey, we need mom to come in now, and we got to do an estate sale while she's out, and we got to pack it up while she's gone, and we got to get it, like, remember, people run away from pain, right? So just say this, like, so I use, by the way, did the interest rates just drop this week? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I would call the kid and the mom on the conference and say, hey guys, I know we're not in a rush and, you know, not like we're trying to go buy something, but we just missed a dip in the market right now that would have made us probably, I don't know, tens of thousands of dollars more because we weren't ready. And that's concerning to me. Because if we would have had the house already, you know, vacant and looking great, we would have already been on the market. We would have utilized the spring. We would have been on the market when that interest rates dropped. And by the way, it's a seesaw. So when interest rate drops, values go up. And I don't know how many more of these are going to happen. So I'm a little concerned that how long it's taking. Do you see the sincerity in my voice? Am I concerned? If I was you, hell yeah, I'm freaking concerned as a listing agent. Did we miss an opportune time? Yes, we did miss an opportune time. So I'm going to make them run away from that pain. Does that make sense, Ines? Versus like, yes. Oh, you get to go live with Mijo. She might not even want to go live with Mijo. She, you know what I mean? You can't, that's not going to make her go through all of her crap and unhoard the hoarding. You know, they got to run away from pain. So when I have to bring the pain, I bring the pain.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, I have one question, JJ.
Yes, ma'am.
What about when it comes to divorce and the attorneys? You can't really fight that, right? Like who they pick to sell the house. Obviously, the clients can choose, you know, who they use to buy once the whole court thing is settled. But is there a way for us to get the listing?
That's tough because depending on the breakup, right? If it's an amicable breakup, it shouldn't be an issue, but most breakups are not amicable. But I would plead my case in like, look, about like transparency. So I would plead my case in like, look, man, I want to make everything transparent. I want to make sure that I can be liaison between all parties, and I want to make sure that no one's left out in the dark, and everyone's there's not going to be a conversation that I have with one side and not the other. I want to make sure that everyone's on the same page as much as humanly possible on getting the max amount of money for this house. My stepdad's a retired judge, so this is a lot of our business. So
but I think it's already in court.
It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, someone's going to be awarded the task of getting rid of that property in the decree. So you just got to make sure you're talking to the winning side. Or
I think sometimes too, don't they both have to agree on a realtor?
yeah, that's why you should do some like ask it just again, can I get a quick Zoom with both of y'all? And then just say, hey, look, I'm here to be a liaison. This is my specialty. I want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. I don't want to have a conversation with either side without the other one. I want to be a good person to connect both, to accomplish the goal of getting this asset, out of the way so we can move forward with everyone's, goals. Because that's what it is in a divorce, is transparency. They don't want like, well, Melanie's my girl, so she's gonna definitely hook me up, or we're gonna have, that's the biggest fear, right, of divorce. Remember the pain. What's the pain of listening in a divorce? Well, like the realtor knows the wife more, and so the husband's like, well, I don't want to use Melanie, that's your girl. But if you can like express to them that that's your specialty, and the pain is transparency or not having transparency, or the pain is not being involved, or having conversations on the side without the other. If you can, again, by the way, all these scripts and dialogues that you guys should be, working on together, and us collectively, is where are the pain points? You guys are dentists, like, where does it hurt? Oh, right there, hurt right there. So then you go, okay, if it hurts right there, I'm gonna put some Novocaine in there. And that Novocaine is transparency with both parties, and then reiterate it in a very professional email. Use ChatGPT, and then let them present it to the lawyers. And I've had judges sign off on us listing houses. So
Okay, but I'm just worried about the husband because he's really not he's giving her a hard time. So that's the issue, is like, if I try to set up a Zoom call, he might not want to be on it, and he might not be responsive to even talking with me.
that's your best shot though, girl.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys, it looks like we're coming up on the hour. Anything else that we want to cover before we finish out?
I'll throw this real quick, and it could be general. What's the best way to handle open house leads? I feel like I make some decent connection with them. I ask them a decent amount of questions. I kind of know what they supposedly want. I get their contact information. What's the best way to handle it from there?
The best way to handle it is to change your expectation. I think everyone comes into this saying like, I'm gonna do an open house and I'm gonna sell this sucker. Like, first of all, statistically speaking, that's an anomaly. You would be like, like in a medical journal. Because what are the odds of someone walking to an open house and they can afford it and they love the floor plan and blah, 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 blah. So that's stupid. So wipe that out of your expectation. The second expectation is they're gonna leave there with a bunch of buyer leads. That is why people hate open houses, because they're like, dude, I did 5 open houses and I made 20 people and none of them were buyers. The real expectation that you should have is to build rapport. That's it. You are using 2 to 4 hours of your Saturday or Sunday to build rapport. I remember I had an agent, she left the organization, but she was doing an open house, and I walked in because I was inspecting what I expected of her, and she didn't have enough signs, and then we can go over that. But I walked in there, she was showing a property to one of the parties. Other family comes in. There's a 6'1" lanky kid with a boot on his right foot, and I just walked up and I said, "Hey, dude, what happened? ACL?" And he goes, Yeah. And I started like, dude, are you basketball? Are you a 1 or are you a 2? I found a denominator. I build rapport with a kid. By the way, his mom and dad were answering all the questions. Yep, surgery. Oh, yeah, 6-month recovery. I'm like, dude, I'm talking to this kid. Right? And I just focus on the kid. I build rapport. I was like, dude, I play basketball and I'm old. Like, dude, I'm scared of that because that would put me into retirement. And I'm like, just like, so when's your recovery? Where do you go to school? Oh, Brandeis, awesome. Like, dude, are you gonna play in college? Like, I'm just building rapport with a 16-year-old kid. And then I stop, I go, and I look at the parents, I go, oh, sorry, hi. And they start laughing, right? Because I've already built rapport. By the way, at that point, I knew what school district they needed to be in, how long they needed to be in the school district, what's important to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I build rapport. And do you think they signed in for me? Yeah. I built rapport. Okay. I think you guys go in there like I'm a Zillow with a pulse. How many bedrooms and bath do you need? When do you like, dude, just build rapport. Like build rapport. People are going to use people they want to hang out with. So it's your job. If you're taking 2 to 4 hours away from your family on a Saturday, make it count, build rapport, and build that database. They're going to buy eventually. And they're going to buy with who they want to hang out with at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's it. So I would say lower your expectations, homie. And then you'll be way good.